The tale opens with a youngster reflecting on a past memory, which he remembers as being quite enjoyable. He now enters the deserted building in search of an excitement that he hasn't experienced in his previous explorations. He leaves the abandoned location, frustrated by the lack of supernatural experiences, longing for anything more. After starting high school, he considers going to a well-known haunted spot, but he is distracted by an argument between two girls. He watches from a window nearby as one girl brutally abuses another, calling out her voice and appearance and accusing her of being the victim. She runs away in fear as the youngster, wearing a mask, appears behind the tormentor, disturbed by the gravity of the situation. The girl was relieved to learn that our boy had stepped in. He hastily withdraws after downplaying the importance of his acts and apologizing for his unexpected entrance. She asks for his name after being moved by his generosity and giving him a sincere thank you. However, he quickly flees, claiming that it isn't a huge concern, in an attempt to avoid attention. He stops by a familiar shrub on his way home, thinking about how it feels to be surrounded by the steady beat of his own heart. But everything feels different this time. He is a 15-year-old boy in his third year of middle school named Haruka Kawatsuji. Gazing at a bush brings up memories of the time he fell out of a window. Although he miraculously avoided harm because of the bush's cushioning effect, the adrenaline rush from that event had permanently changed him and served as motivation for his pursuit of thrilling adventures. His mother established the only rule in his life out of worry for his safety. Nothing that could cause a fall should be climbed. Unfazed, Haruka looked for alternative ways to experience the surge of adrenaline. His outlets were running and researching purportedly haunted locations, but they lacked the intensity he sought. Nothing he attempted came close to making that primordial sound, and memories of that day continued to reverberate inside of him. He felt disconnected from reality as the foggy days went by. Would he ever feel that rush again? He asks himself as he speaks his thoughts out loud. Haruka starts high school 6 months later, full of excitement for fresh possibilities. He wonders how long he will have to repeat the sentence throughout his life as he introduces himself in class. When the female seated behind him speaks out, he is surprised. He is startled by her sudden appearance, yet he smiles shyly at her. Later, Kasaki comes up to him and remarks on the strange coincidence that they both ended up going to the same school and running into each other again. She thanks him by telling him that everything turned out well and she didn't have to deal with the other girl anymore as a result of his intervention that day. She maintains that he is solely to blame, despite his attempts to downplay it. They next try to find student volunteers for the library during the lecture, but no one raises their hand. Haruka then raises his hand to show that he is willing to help, and he observes that Kasaki has done the same. As a result, the two of them are suddenly in the situation of serving as the library committee's first-year attendees. After Kasaki remarks that it's coincidental, she asks Haruka what she likes to do for relaxation. Haruka discloses that he enjoys anything related to the horror genre, including spooky video games, books, and films. He also discloses that this is how he first met her, on his way to a place that was said to be haunted. Kasaki remarks that it was a coincidence that they met, or that perhaps fate brought them together. She clarifies since the boy seems perplexed, but he encourages her not to get upset. Haruka is eating back in class. And because he is talking to beautiful girls in the class, his friend calls him sly and gets jealous of him. His other friend accuses him of jealousy, even though he hasn't interacted with any of the girls yet. In contrast, Haruka excuses himself to go get some water, giving the appearance that he is completely uninterested. His casual response exacerbates his friend's jealousy. Another friend remarks that he has been that way since middle school and has always seemed distracted and uninterested in girls. Wadari expresses his desire for the planet to burn down whenever something negative occurs. As he fills the water, Haruka muses over his friend's comment and imagines how excited any other male his age would have been to speak to a girl as attractive as Kasaki. He seems somewhat uninterested, though. He says goodbye to Kasaki as she takes the bus at the bus stop after school. According to his friend with red hair, the fact that they walked together to the bus stop transcends the idea of friendship. Haruka remarks casually that he just did it because she abruptly asked him to. He gets a call from another female asking if he has a moment. The fact that Haruka even had females from other schools surprises his friend. Haruka cheekily replies when he humorously expresses his dissatisfaction, claiming that he didn't teach him to be that way. Ruji, I don't remember you ever raising me. The girl recognizes Haruka and invites him to speak. The girl tells him to avoid Kisaki as they enter a garden. She explains that they became friends in middle school and sat next to one other in class. At first, she felt Kisaki was cute and pleasant, and she didn't mind becoming friends with her. But things soon took a turn for the worst when Kisaki became obsessed with her. He even went so far as to figure out which shampoo she used and apply it, as well as wait outside her house every morning to walk to school with her. Every time Rinko spoke to her other friends, Kisaki would become envious and desire to be with her always and never leave her side. Rinko eventually lost it and confronted Kisaki, which is how Haruka first came into interaction with them. Unexpectedly, Kisaki withdrew from the situation after that day. But when Rinko learned that Kisaki was taking admission examinations to transfer schools, she became suspicious that she had her sights set on someone else. With a healthy dose of skepticism, Haruka asks for evidence to support her statements regarding Kisaki. Rinko instantly navigates out of a string of missed calls and texts from Kisaki on her phone. She continues by offering to display pictures that appear to support their relationship. He finds it hard to accept that Kisaki would go to such drastic measures as switching schools in order to approach him, even though the evidence seems compelling. Unfazed by his doubts, the girl declares her faith in Kisaki's talents. She goes one step further and warns him that Kisaki's claims that anything happened by chance are never true. He gets shivers from this disturbing realization and starts to wonder why the female decided to share this information. She responds by saying that it was because of Kisaki that she felt free. She wanted to return the favor by alerting him about the risks and manipulations he could encounter. She leaves him wondering about the ramifications of her disclosures and issues one last warning to avoid Kisaki. He chooses to confront Kisaki in class the next morning. He shows that he had something essential to talk about by approaching her and asking to speak privately outside. A tense atmosphere is created when the two exit the classroom and stand face to face outside. He asks Kisaki if she wants to go out with him, surprising her after a brief period of stillness. She is taken aback by this sudden proposal and initially hesitates. Her attitude quickly shifts, though, and she asks him whether he really realizes how serious the situation is. She tells him that once she starts, she can't stop. Haruka suddenly becomes clear-headed as he looks into her eyes, which had always seemed a little strange to him. He understands that she may be the one who can make his heart tremble with that primeval sound in spite of the cautions and disturbing disclosures. He can barely contain his joy as he thanks her. She responds by thanking him, and her eyes light up like never before. Even while it appears normal when Haruka leaves his house the following morning, he knows deep down that it's not. She is waiting for him as he steps out of the elevator door. She gives him a warm greeting, and Kawatsuki wonders why he hadn't even told her his address. But here she is. He asks her if the school isn't in the opposite direction from her after considering Kisaki's insane tendencies and the excitement he has been seeking. She responds that she anticipated when he would depart, so she didn't have to wait for very long. He remembers something Rinko said about Kisaki not following her since that day, but it's not enough to figure out his schedule in a single day. Everything makes sense now. Since their initial encounter, Kisaki must have been following him. In private, she had been fostering her affection. Kisaki interrupts his thoughts by informing him that the bus stop is located in the opposite way. He seems to like the idea that she can surprise him in such a way that he is taken off guard, and her eyes stay fixed on him as they board the bus. She apologizes and acknowledges that she was worried about the possibility of them being in a committed relationship when he eventually admits that her staring has made him uncomfortable. Haruka is prompted to explain why she decided to begin dating today. According to Kisaki, she wanted to make sure that everything was done and that she was completely ready before making that move. It wouldn't be appropriate for her to begin dating yesterday because of one issue. After that, she apologizes and tells him that she can't go home with him after school. When Rinko eventually makes it back home, she finds Tanako waiting for her at the driveway entry since she has some things to do later in the day. When Kasaki asks why she is so shocked to see her, Rinko replies that it has been a while since they last saw one another. When she realized the two of them were on the bus, Kasaki disagrees and confronts her about the event that happened a few days prior when Rinko visited Haruko without telling her. She wasted no time in following them and got off the next stop. Assuming the apparent purpose of Kasaki's visit, Rinko realizes abruptly that she must have overheard their chat. However, Kasaki abruptly changed his tone and thanked her, telling her that Haruka had admitted yesterday and that they were now happily dating. Despite Rinko's efforts to keep Kawatsuji away from her, everything went smoothly, but Rinko is completely surprised by how things turned out. She fears that Kasaki might be here to get even. After that, Kasaki tells Rinko to relax and that she would have taken revenge if that was her intention. While at Haruka's house, Rinko calls him. In case he needed it, she had given him her phone number. She starts screaming at him as soon as he picks up the phone, wondering why he decided to date Kasaki despite all of her warnings. In his explanation, he claims that her cautions were the exact reason he wanted to date her. He was drawn to her because of her erratic nature, and he believes that a girlfriend like her is the finest thing he could wish for because she devotes all of her time to him. They speak for a few seconds before she abruptly ends the phone, her face expressionless. He muses that Rinko seemed a little odd throughout the call. This is because, during their call, she made several subtle indications, such referring to Tokano. Additionally, her query sounded as though it was intended for someone else. Even if Kasaki doesn't want to accept it, these signs point to the reality that he is with Rinko. When he realized it, he was unable to respond in the way she had hoped. She asks Kasaki back at Rinko's house because she is now happy with the situation. Although it came as a bit of a surprise that Kawatsuji was aware of her listening, she understands how he feels and is glad he allayed her concerns. When Rinko raises the possibility that he may have lied, Kasaki replies that she doesn't give a damn because she thinks the information is sufficient. She is happy to be his first focus, even if it is just for a short while. This is quite enough for her. Rinko is lucky enough to be grateful that their quirks seem to complement each other and that they have found themselves together, even though she has no understanding whatsoever of the two of them. Since Rinko is the only person with whom she can discuss Kawatsuji, Kasaki then recommends that they spend more time together. The breaks are over now that they are formally dating. Kasaki wants their first date to go somewhere special, so she asks Haruka if she can come to his apartment after school the following day. They both think about the phone call from yesterday. After hearing it, he is a little taken aback, but he finally accepts. They walk together on their way home from school, and the excitement of their first official date permeates the air. The two of them follow him to his home after Haruka, who was a little surprised but intrigued, agreed. When they enter the house, Haruka's mother greets them. At first glance, she seems blissfully unaware that her son was taking a friend home with him. Haruka is completely taken aback when his mother sees Kasaki. She greets her as like they were old friends, and she is not only delighted to see her. It is disclosed that Kasaki and Yumi-san had met 6 months prior, when Kasaki had hurried to her aid after a bicycle accident. Yumi claims that any time they had the opportunity to communicate, Kasaki was consistently kind and helpful. Their fortuitous meetings had continued. With her signature welcoming smile, Kasaki admits that their encounters were a coincidence, leaving Haruka speechless. The fact that she had a charming demeanor and demonstrated genuine kindness, both of which have won Yumi over, further solidifies her place in the family's favor. Haruka learns that Kasaki planned these ostensibly coincidental encounters, even connecting with his parents. He feels entangled in Kasaki's intricate plans as a result of this knowledge. He gets a sudden chill when he considers the possibility that Kasaki could have some influence over his mother. Haruka awkwardly corrects his mother when she inquires about their connection, assuming that they are merely hanging around, and discloses that they are in a serious relationship. Haruka's mother had thought they were simply chatting. Hearing his mother express sincere joy in their relationship makes him uncomfortable, and she advises him to treat her with dignity. A little while later, Kasaki is smiling broadly as she explores Haruka's room. He starts to wonder if his place is really that interesting. She says it wasn't until today that she was able to go to the entrance. However, He was able to take advantage of the easy escape provided by his mother's request for snacks, but a shadow of suspicion hung over him. He is able to excuse himself in order to investigate the likelihood that Kisaki has a hidden motive. Returning with a few snacks, he cautiously makes his way to his room and opens the door quite quietly. He manages to catch Kisaki in the act of seeming guilty as he slams it open. He questions Kisaki about her behavior. To his bewilderment, she promptly apologizes, saying that she was inadvertently sniffing and stroking his bed. She goes on to explain how she unconsciously buried her face in the bed as she was lost in thinking. Since he had never brought a female home before and she was now in this situation, he says he's lost and doesn't know what to do. She asks him about his usual activities with his friends in an attempt to distract from the subject at hand. He briefly glanced at his console while discussing playing video games, only to discover that it was, for some reason, turned off. Kisaki proposes that they watch a movie together because he is interested in his usual hobbies. Afterwards, Haruka's mother kindly invites her to come back at any time as she stands by the door, ready to leave. Haruka shows his gratitude for the time he could spend with her. His mother steps in and emphasizes how important it is to create memories at their age. Kisaki acknowledges his feelings and departs by praising Yumi-san abundantly and stating that she cherished every moment. Although Haruka is aware that Kisaki is buttering his mother, he feels as though she genuinely means it when he grins back and gives her a hug, showing how grateful she is for what she has done. He is approached by his mother after she leaves, who asks him about their relationship and how they started dating. Kisaki listens in on their conversation using an earbud, her face empty of expressions. After Haruka explains their special bond, his mother says she is happy with how well they are getting along. Although Kisaki can only hear from a distance, she is happy because she placed a bug in his room that resembles the console plug. Since she would be able to learn a lot more about him, she believes that today was a success.